Hello and welcome to episode 4 of Fatal Strategies. My guest is Camille Giraudeau, who we just heard from as one of the two guitarists on a track by Void, a UK outfit that he contributed to on their most recent album. But Camille is not from the UK, he is from France, although he currently lives in Dublin and has been spending a lot of time in Norway. As I record this here in late April, I believe it was just last weekend that he was playing some shows at the Roadburn Festival in Norway as part of Dødheimsgard. He is the drummer in the current live incarnation of that band. He also recorded with a spinoff of that group, Doedsmaghird. He's actually one of the two members on that recording, Omniverse Consciousness, that came out last year, but that is actually still just scratching the surface of his recent activities. He is 1/3 of Stagnant Waters, who we heard from another third of that outfit back in episode 2 with Svein Egil Hatlevik. And then in addition to that, Camille has as, I guess, his main project, his solo project, Dreams of the Drowned. And that is really the focus of this episode. In particular, a little blurb that accompanies one of the Dreams of the Drowned releases on Bandcamp. It describes the music as melancholic, dense, and psychedelic black/gray metal meets anarcho post-punk, inspired by bands such as Vedboinzenda, Killing Joke, Emperor, Blind Idiot God, or Amoebics. And so an interesting assortment of bands that I guess when you step back, you do see some commonalities between them, even if you wouldn't necessarily have thought of them as part of the same genre or field of music necessarily. And so that idea of gray metal is sort of a jumping off point for this episode and the aesthetic that comes with it and the commonalities that Camille sees and hears between these kinds of bands and plenty of others that I think might surprise you, both in terms of the metal and non-metal influences that sort of enter into his music. Camille has been so busy in recent years, and it took me so long to get this episode out that there's actually going to be a part 2 that's a more recent update that catches us up on some of his more recent activities, including his first ever trip to Norway last year, 2024, and the recording of the Doedsmaghird album and the recent Stagnant Waters album, semi-recent at this point, and some additional topics that we get into. But for now, this is part 1, and I hope you enjoy it, my interview with Camille Giraudeau.
Basically, what happened to me is in '98, I saw my first black metal show in my hometown, which was basically a very standard corpse paint and blood and symphonic black metal from this era, like Cradle of Filth Worship. And then basically it all spiraled into black metal, death metal. And in 2000-ish, so 666 International was already released. I actually read the review back then, and it was trashing it. It was saying it nonsense. So I remember I didn't buy this CD. My first real introduction into avant-garde metal per se was more Disco Volente by Mr. Bungle.
Okay.
In 2000s. And then from there, Focus by Cynic, Ulver, I'd say. And
Okay.
then what happened is through Ulver, I found Virus, because Carhartt was released by Jester Records.
Right, yeah.
And from there, then there was like an obsession which arose, and it was kind of reprogramming of my ears. And so through Virus came Vedbenzend 30, Dødheimsgard, then Code Nouveau Gloaming.
Right, okay, yeah.
Basically, when I emptied this whole bunch of releases I had to find something else which was doing the same kind of extreme dissonance, melancholy. So then I went to Voivods, Killing Joke, all the post-punks, Lent, King Crimson, Coil, and
Okay.
basically, yeah, around 2003, 4, I became basically the same person I am today, kind of musically.
Were you already playing guitar at that point?
Yeah, basically my brother was a musician, so I started some piano, guitar, bass when I was pretty much 5, 6, and from there, basically what happened is I had to sell my guitar to reimburse like a phone bill. Very stupid. And but I had still a bass, so I joined bands. I joined my first metal band in 2000. It was death metal. Then I joined the black metal band as well, and yeah, then lots of hardcore punk and death metal, but no black metal because there were no black metal heads in my hometown. Basically, only death metal, hardcore. And what happened is I only managed to grab a guitar back and start recording and composing black metal in 2006. And where I joined, I mean, we created Smohalla. I don't know if you.
Oh
If you
yeah, yeah. I have I got all those through Bandcamp. Yeah.
yeah, we created Smohalla, and from there, like I created Dreams of the Drone and Stagnant Waters, and yeah, 2007.
What was your hometown like in terms of like what part of France it was in, and was it rural or urban or?
It's my hometown is named Évreux. It's in Normandy, but it's not the Normandy which is touristic and beautiful. It's pretty much a shithole. No offense. It's a town that you want to escape. Otherwise, you end up alcoholic, addicted to whatever. And yeah, it's been a struggle most of my life to escape, and I finally managed. So yeah, what the musical scene was, yeah, lots of there were two black metal bands in the 90s, which is actually the one band which turned me into metal. But then it was basically mostly death metal, I'd say.
That's interesting that there weren't black metal bands there because, you know, the little bit that I know about metal from France is almost exclusively black metal bands, but they were ones that came along after.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know where they are. I don't know how much this is supposed to be a mystery or anything, but Bluto's Nord, I don't
Yeah.
know what part of France he's from or.
Actually, Normandy as well, but
Oh, really?
a different part of Normandy, which is sexier, more,
Uh,
more whatever. To me, black metal, if you wonder about this, I'd say it's extremely related to class, social class. And in my hometown, this death metal and hardcore thing was mostly related to this, I'd say. But yeah, like if you think about Bluetooth Nord, Death by Omega, so it's like the two biggest in the 2000s, or even Forbidden Seed in the 90s, which is a great band, which was a great band. They're all pretty much, I wouldn't say bourgeois, but yeah, you know, they come from wealthier place. Yeah.
okay. That's an interesting thought. You know, it is definitely highbrow, the way it's presented and the way certain audiences Whereas, I think, say, Dødheimsgard, for example, is very, I think it's very, I'm sure you agree, like intelligent music in terms of all the themes and all the ideas and everything, but they don't necessarily present it in a way that appeals to, hipsters, for lack of a better word,
Yeah,
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 which
yeah.
is good. Yeah, yeah.
I imagine it's more like an introvert weirdo thing more than hipsterish.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
probably, yeah, like why it's for the outcasts and
yeah,
it would almost be a bad sign if they were
yeah.
starting to get too much press in some of these other places. But
Pretty much everybody I met who are into this precise type of music and play it as well, including the people in Dødheimsgard, etc. I'd say everybody is neuroatypical to a certain degree, and it's the norm rather than something strange. Yeah.
it's interesting that you mentioned Disco Volante because I had heard that before hearing this other stuff too. And I always made a connection, which is not to say that any of the Norwegian bands really like directly sound like Mr. Bungle at all, but just in terms of the instrumentation and the idea that, each album is kind of a different world sonically, and there's not a formula.
Yeah, they share what they share is individuality and
Right, yeah.
trying to really break everything that people wants and yeah, like explore. But it's funny that you mentioned this because I talked to Vikotnik about Mr. Bungle and he never even heard it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dongo actually played only once in Norway, and they played like this extremely silly cover of Emperor. I don't know if you
Oh.
heard it.
No, but I can imagine.
Yeah, it's quite funny. They basically trolled the audience, I guess.
Because I got to know Trey from Mr. Bungle, and when I was living in San Francisco in the early 2000s, and like I interviewed him, and I would play him different stuff. I know I played him some Arcturists,
Oh,
and I played him something from the Sham Mirrors, and
yeah.
he connected it to this Van Halen song on Fair Warning with a synthesizer breakdown. And I was like, And I talked to him recently just for actually one of these interviews. And I had, off the recording part, I asked him about Dødheimsgard, and he wasn't familiar with it. So,
Really? Oh,
I mean, I think he and Vikotnik are very similar, like similar age guitarists who are also producers who have a real distinct like vision for what they're trying to do. And it's almost like maybe they don't want to listen to too much stuff that's similar to each other.
it could make sense. I think Trey is much older though. Like isn't he born like in the early 70s?
Yeah, or even late 60s. Yeah, so he's about
Yeah,
he's
because he's
yeah.
from 77.
Oh,
So
so
yeah.
he's younger than me. Okay. And bringing it back to like what you were saying earlier about 666 International, I think that was true of that album. And a lot of what I would see at the time written about even the Masquerade or the Ulver's William Blake album, some people were into it, but a lot of people were looking at it as like, why can't they just do regular black metal? At the time, there seemed like there were just tons and tons of these quote unquote true cult black metal bands, and And so, but I asked last week when I was talking to Svein Egil,
Yeah.
I mentioned something to him that he had said in an interview that I read something like, your perception of black metal changes if you think of Transylvanian Hunger as a later black metal album. And I asked him, what did you mean by that? And he said that basically, that before then there were all these different sounds or styles that it hadn't like congealed into a specific image in people's mind, and so that at the time Transylvanian Hunger was kind of like another distinctive style that didn't
Yeah.
sound like anything else. And then, but if one thinks of that as early black metal, then the idea is that all this late 90s stuff is so-called avant-garde stuff is really like weird. But for him, he thinks of it as like, that idea of doing something distinctive and different and original is actually part of black metal itself. And so like I don't really have a strong feeling of it one way or the other, because I'm not like defining black metal for anybody. It's not really like my business. But when you look at things like again, these same albums, 666 International or Flirty, or what you do you think of it as still part of black metal, or is it so far broken off into its own sort of thing that it feels like a different world?
No, I'd say it's the true black metal, because of what you said. Like, black metal was supposed to be a genre which was rooted in individuality above all else, and really struggling to keep yourself distinct from any other band. And what you said about all those bands which were copycats, there was clearly a session at this moment. And say if you take somebody like, are you familiar with Abigor?
Yes.
Yeah, so you may know that TT is very vocal on Facebook. He rants a lot. And this guy, for instance, had individuality. He kept an individuality, but his vision of black metal is so closed that for me it misses the point. I mean, who am I to define black metal for anybody as well? But I'd say that this research, this permanent research of individuality, is black metal. But what I do, though, I'm not so sure, because I'm doing post black metal. And I arrived too late in the game. It's the thing. But I'm still trying to. Everything I released for now doesn't sound individual enough for me. I'm very self-critical on this, and I'm really spending a lot of time doing this research and development, quote unquote. So basically what happened is I splitted Dreams of the Drone in two entities recently. Dreams of the Drone is really striving for something old and new at the same time, like mostly dead aesthetics. This is how I think about it, like things that never quite exists anymore, like the moon lay hidden beneath a cloud, or well, I mean, Vedbenzen, they are back, obviously.
Right.
But like striving for something new, which is why I take a very long time to do anything. And I have another entity which is pretty much linked, which is named Veule, Veule, and it's regressive black metal. This is what I did today. Today I was recording this. It's black metal where I don't have to think about this kind of research and development. Yeah.
Okay. You're still doing all the instruments?
So I actually have a drummer for Dreams of a Drone those days, but we don't rehearse those days.
Oh.
But my goal is to turn Dreams of the Drone into something playable live. And the idea is to get some people on board. Havard from Veta. I don't know if you know this.
Oh, that not the same Havard from Ulver.
No, no, not this one. The other one from Veta. And
Okay.
yeah, it's true black metal, but again, it's less individual. I'm channeling Euronymous, basically.
When did you come across Blind Idiot God, and did you initially connect it to like some of this other Norwegian music, or like what did you make of them when you first heard them?
So basically, I heard Blinded.God the first time in 2005, I'd say. So I was already on my withdrawal from Norwegian post-black metal. I was looking for something else which was close enough. And Blinded.God struck me because for me, it reminded me of the Goat Lord demos from Dark Souls. The Goat Lord instrumentals. Of course, not the dub, not the dub. Which I love the dub, but I usually listen to only. I'm sorry if you hear this, people of Blinded God, but yeah, I mostly keep the metal songs because. But yeah, it reminded me of this very particular pre under a funeral moon dark throne sound, and yeah, nothing else sounds like it. Like Blinded to God, like they have this song named Droning. Every time I listen to this, I dissociate, and it's impossible to describe. To me, what they did, Blinded God, is monumental. It's absolutely monumental, and it still is. Like the album they released in 2015
Yeah.
is wonderful, beyond words, and yeah, infinite love for those guys. This pre-post black metal, I stand by them. For me, they played exactly. They did play black metal in certain ways. Of course, they didn't know that they thought they were playing like some kind of fast hardcore post Husker Du. But yeah, they could have been even more influenced. But say you have on one side you have Sarcophago in the 80s, Sarcophago, Creator, etc. Battery, and on the other side you have Blinded God, and they were the Vedbenzende of the 80s with Celtic Frost into the Pandemonium, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, something like Mighty Sphincter as well, I guess, which is also very black metal for me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because they did come from the like hardcore scene, but you know they were not really hardcore.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I mean, Blinded God were also a bit silly, I would say, but silly in a very good way. Like they didn't care about incorporating all this weird dub, and I'm not sure it served their popularity, but it certainly served their individuality and their overall power, I'd say. Like the ability to make powerful music without any bounds. It's beautiful.
Killing Joke is another one that I'm actually curious. When did you start getting into them, and what was it about them that drew you in?
Yeah, same period, 2005, 6. What drew me into them was Geordie Walker. It's basically this. It's this riffing, which is always in suspension between ugliness and beauty and extreme sadness. What I say about this particular harmonization in guitar is it sounds like a mood disorder. And for me, Killing Joke, it embodies everything I want in music. It's apocalyptic, it's sad. They don't care about genre. Like I love Brighter Than a Thousand Suns as much as Revelations or Extremities, even outside the gates. Yeah, you have to imagine me 2005, 2006, just listening to anything that could remotely sound like Vedbenzende. And so in my quest, I stumbled upon Blind Idiot God, Killing Joke, and yeah, all those beautiful, strange bands, mostly from the 80s, Slint as well. If you listen to Slint, the beginning of Charlotte, I think, in Twiz. It's pretty much this acid sound, which is so addictive in this mood disordered genre. I guess also Platypus from Mr. Bungle, like the starting, especially the demo version.
Yeah, because it strikes me that a lot of this, what it has in common, it is something that, like, if you step back and say, well, yeah, like Blind Idiot God or even Killing Joke or Dreams of the Drowned, and look at them as all being almost the same, maybe not genre, but like tradition or feeling. And then what does any of that have in common? And that's what you're describing, captures it pretty well. And I think I saw one of the hashtags of gray metal. Gray metal is like evocative of that. But it's not, on the one hand, it's not, well, it's definitely not blues based, like as much as I like the New Orleans metal bands like I Hate God and stuff like that. I mean, that's very much like Sabbath blues type riffs. And then it's not also really like, it's not heroic new wave of British heavy metal, Iron Maiden. It's something else, and it's more, it's this blur. A lot of times it's not really so clearly major key or minor key.
Yeah, it's always in between. For me, there's this suspension. It's about this. Do you play guitar or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very, very, very amateur.
Yeah, it was more for my metaphor. Like when you have two strings which are ringing on the same notes, two strings, but one string is slightly out of tune, and there's this. It's very hard to explain what I have in my mind, but there's this out of phase thing that starts to happen and vibrate around one point, and this exact thing, which is this very, very physical, for me, it's like the essence of this holistic genre you're trying to define, like this place, which is it's a place for me.
What kind of experimenting has gone into getting the guitar sound? And do you feel like you've been able to capture it, or you're still searching for something?
I think I will always be searching. Like it's a fleeting thing. I don't know. I have obsessions. I'm a very obsessive person, and so my guitar, to give you an idea, is a jazz master, because I was so obsessed with My Bloody Valentine and the whole bending while you play. It's really,
Okay.
I love it, but it's silly. And then there was like all this 80s hardcore punk, which was also an obsession of mine, with chorus and death rocky hardcore punk.
Okay.
And yeah, I mentioned Mighty Sphincter. It's a good one. And also Euronymous. I mean, Euronymous and Thorns mostly. I'm morbidly obsessed with Mayhem. And yeah, and also Darkthrone when Zephyrus was still in the band. But when you mix all of this, and yeah, of course, this King Crimson thing from Red and Voivod Biggie, you get something which I guess I kind of have. I try to aspect at least, and yeah, I guess on a Vikotnik type of lens, which I'm always trying to live, like kill the father type of cut the cords. Lots of people compared Dreams of the Drone to Vedbenzende, and I guess I deserved it in a way. I say it in a pejorative way because I thought I sounded too much like Vedbenzende, and this is why it took so long for me to finish. It's because and so nowadays, so I play with Vikotnik in this Doedsmaghird band, which is basically Dødheimsgard 2, a spinoff. And so, you know, I played guitar in the Dødheimsgard show. I played bass on Virus. I composed some guitar for this Doedsmaghird thing. So doing all of this kind of helped me to push away this Norwegian thing in my head, and not push them away completely, but I've been trying to explore French Impressionism more than anything recently. Like I'm very obsessed with this Lily Boulanger. Do you know this composer?
No, when you said Impressionism, the names that came to mind, well, the first thing is obviously Debussy,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
yeah. You should check it out. It's very much haunted, for lack of a better word. But yeah, I've been trying to explore this to understand what I could bring to this post black metal thing after, you know, leaving this Norwegian type of audio paradigm. And nowadays I'm pretty much part of this family, I'd say. So it's easier now.
So I saw you mention, and I talked to Svein Egil a little bit about this too, but the MySpace era, and that there was this community, and that you were meeting people, and I think Stagnant Waters came out of that.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Stagnant Waters was really a solo thing at the beginning, and then I met Emric through a common friend, And then we had Joey Hopkins on vocals, which we met through MySpace completely. Joey Hopkins, who was also singing in Black Drone Incorporated, and basically in Alien Syndrome 777. And yeah, this guy, Joey died, and Svein Egil had a project with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Svein Egil came in. But yeah, on these MySpace days, there was this very strange, tight community around this. Like I'd say around this the virus, flirty Dødheimsgard kind of core. And I kept touch with most of those people, and some very good thing came out of this. Most of those bands kind of splitted ish, because it was I think you mentioned it in your email. It was kind of a bedroom scene in a way. Lots of solo projects, lots of DIY stuff. It was extremely DIY. Actually, there was this extremely good band from Syracuse named Time Under Earth. Do you know this?
No.
So this guy, Matthew, he was kind of hair of Blinded.God in many ways. Very, very good. And there was this brilliant guy from the UK, Brett, playing in this band named Juvenile Baroque Slaughterhouse, which is probably one of the most beautiful definitions of instrumental post-black metal, without any of the deviation of the term which happened after 2009 and Alcest. But
okay.
It's like this. This guy is also an extreme introvert, and yeah, so many things died because of a lack of means, I guess, and audience. But we were kind of, I guess it's a kind of cyber black circle made out of weirdos, and yeah.
Top 8, yeah, the black circle top 8. Yeah. That was, it's one of those weird things where it's happening at the time and you don't really think much about it, but it was like before Facebook, and I was never been serious enough in music to like make music on that level, but I imagine that like at the same time it would be really inspiring to meet people, but at the same time you're spending a lot of time alone working on music, and maybe you're sending somebody these files, and it's, for better or worse, I mean, it's not the same as having a band that you're in a room with, but in another sense, that whole idea of the band being like this physical unit that's in one place is almost not extinct, but it's a relic. That's maybe extreme.
It is, of course, but yeah, it's a very sad topic for me, because I never quite I never was able to make a real life band from this. Back then, even meeting people who knew this was extremely rare, at least in France. I had bands, like I played in hardcore bands mostly back then, but I'm extremely introverted, and it was very hard for me to express myself through a band. Whereas if you take Oslo, a band like Zende is exclusively made through the rehearsal room. They jammed their songs. They literally jammed it. Yeah, I always envied Norwegians for that. They have this very tight community of weirdos. And yeah, I still kind of hope I could do this, but I actually tried. I met some really good people in Dublin who were into this. Well, the drummer I was talking about, and a guitarist as well, and the bassist. But I guess I'm too broken now to to be in a band. Like I don't have the mental energy to deal with people.
I've read a little bit of your posts on Facebook about some of your recordings, like you recorded and then decided to redo it, or you had trouble finishing things. And I think that's probably got to be one of the hardest parts about working individually, is that you have to find like the motivation and also just be able to deal with the solitude that involved in making that. But I don't know, like when recording the Dreams of the Drowned, how challenging has it been to to finish those, given all that you're basically doing all of it yourself for the most part, right?
Yeah, it's everything is me in the studio, at least. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. So basically, I have this ADHD diagnosis, and it's funny because I started medication yesterday, and it's a huge change in my life, like tremendous change, and I feel like it's about to change for the better. I will be able to finish more stuff. I have the motivation never faltered. It's the problem is chaos. I'm an extremely chaotic person, and yeah, it's hard, but at the same time, it's Dream Doesn't Drown is pretty much me, as in, if you listen to the demos and the stuff from the late 2000s, it's pretty much who I was at the time. And if you listen to the second album, I mean, the first album, it's pretty much who I was too. And same for Mist Strings, I guess. And who I was extremely imperfect. But I mean, of course, I mean, everybody's imperfect. We're humans, but I suppose it's pretty much it's as natural as breathing for me. Having Dreams of the Drone around and having it as research and development space even for myself. Like growing Dreams of the Drone made me grow myself. It helped me through shadow work, for a lack of a better word, like Jungian shadow work. And I suppose also to define what I want to do in the future, which is related to psychoanalysis, music therapy, and stuff like this, which is very much of a work in progress. And yeah, it's just like an extension of myself. It's also a part of my general self-care, I imagine. And yeah, I wouldn't imagine doing it really with other people as well, because it's extremely intimate. I guess this is a thing which defines Dream of the Drone compared to many other things. It's extremely intimate, and probably like other solo black metal things like Gvast or whatever. But yeah, it has this. It's very vulnerable. If you pick at the lyrics of Dreams of the Drone, you can really go very far in my psyche. And
at least some of the music comes from actual dreams.
yeah, sometimes I wake up and I have riffs, and so a few times I've been able to record them straight away, And yeah, it's always interesting. Actually, I have less of those dreams. It's a bit sad, I guess. I'm just growing old. But I used to have a lot of those, and the music was creating itself in my head all the time, and I had to basically puke it away to free up some space, you know. And sometimes I feel that I'm actually covering it more than creating it because it's sent to me. I'm saying it very metaphorically, but there's also this extremely important spiritual aspect in Dreams of the Jaunt. And sometimes I feel I'm more like a relay or a channel more than anything else of what I have my answers for this. I usually say it's the dead, but you know, there's many interpretations to have.